Very warm welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for the long correspondence about various papers, but I think we are pretty well organized. And the main thing I want to do is to start at the end and tell you the aims and objectives of this meeting, because these are very, very clear. We have one principal goal, and that is to convince the United Nations, which is in September going to begin the designation of its Sustainable Development Goals for 2020. There will only be 10 of them, and we wish to have human trafficking designated as a self-standing SDG, as they call them. Now, there are no guarantees about this at all. It's a big issue, nobody would deny it, but whether it will gain this status, which would then put pressure on national governments to do a lot more than they are currently doing, will not solve the problem. Of course, we call it the eradication of slavery. I call it the new abolitionism, but it would substantially reduce it. Now that's the end purpose of this meeting. Now I would like to give you a little history, very brief history of where this came from. This is not an idea that the Academy itself dreamed up. As you can see from this now famous handwritten note from Pope Francis, thank you. Thank you. He wrote this very, very soon, May 2013, and we wrote our usual polite note to him saying, we are at the service of the church. What would you like us to, what themes would you like us to work on? What is important? And this was his reply. So you have the translation in English because the photocopying is not ideal. And he directs us to human trafficking and tells us not to forget the trafficking in organs, human organs, which is extremely important. And we went straight to work. We had this workshop on modern slavery. The rather strange dress code you see here is because it was a meeting with the police chiefs of Europol and some from Interpol. And we learnt an immense amount about the new digital techniques used by traffickers, which enables them to transport people across the world and to change their destinations in seconds, and makes them even more difficult to prosecute than they used to be. So on our best estimate, there are currently over 20 million people, human beings, who have been trafficked. That figure, of course, is just like all criminology. The ones who are good at it don't get caught and therefore don't get included in the figures, so that's an underestimate. It is still a huge number, and it's that number that we wish to attack. So, to show his support, we had a joint meeting with our sister academy, PASS, with 1S, Academy of Natural Sciences, and the Pope joined us and again repeated his support for our exertions against trafficking. because he manages to make such wonderful immediate contact with young people, our Chancellor organised an extremely successful meeting. We're still only November of 2014, of young people, students from all over the world against trafficking. And many of them have gone back home and started small initiatives, but that's how movements grow. And then the next thing was to try to extend, and this is very important, this aspect of the Church's social teaching, which ever since Vatican II, many of you know this, but some of you will not, all encyclicals on social doctrine of the Church are not addressed to the faithful. Well, they are, but they're addressed much more generously, largely, to all people of goodwill. And therefore, it seemed entirely appropriate under this topic of trafficking, which involves the whole world, it's the black side of globalization, to turn this into an ecumenical meeting movement in the broadest sense. And so in December, we had an important joint declaration signed on the 2nd by, it didn't reproduce, so I haven't put it on a slide, but the text is fully available. And there was unanimity that this was some kind of humanistic concern that cut across all sorts of doctrinal differences. And we also have considerable support from people of no faith at all, and they are very, very welcome to reinforce this effort of ours. Now, to this end, we have been extremely active, and this is our website that is a whole week old. It is just up and running, and we really have to call this a triumph of what I call team pass. The whole of our secretariat, our webmaster, webmistress, Gabriela Marano is here. And we hope that you will pass on this e-address to anybody who shows any interest at all. You will find your papers published here as well as on the PASS website. And we hope this will be a successful vehicle for spreading the word. Now, there is tremendous good news this morning because this movement is gathering steam and momentum almost by the day. So the first thing I learned at the door of the Domus Santa Marta this morning was that our French colleagues and past Ambassador Pierre Morel, who will be chairing this morning, have spearheaded a new website, Liberanos, and Liberanos is going through its, can I call them field trials at the moment, but will soon be live and be globally available. So that's the brief history. You can see that we have been working hard on this, and I would hope very much that this meeting will make a significant contribution, that people will feel free to do journalism in their own country about the discussions we've had here. And there I'm going to leave it because this is something that is still in statu nascendi, and therefore there are no final words other than to wish us all a good meeting not for ourselves, but so that we may make another contribution to this immensely important cause in the defense of our fellow human beings. Thank you.